All right. Hello. Good afternoon. Thank you guys for taking a little bit of time out of your day and joining us today to talk about AI use in the logistics industry. I am Julie Vandekamp. I am currently the Chief Customer Officer at SONAR. So excited to host Pablo today from Happy Robot. Would you give a little intro, Pablo, of yourself and your background?
Yes, thank you, Julie, for having me. Pablo here, one of the co-founders of Happy Robot and CEO. Happy Robot is basically AI communications for logistics. So almost like little assistants, little agents that are helping, like teams over at freight brokers, even carriers, 3PLs, starting to work with some freight forwarders as well on the international aspect. And we help them automate phone calls, emails, text, kind of get them away from the repetitive and mundane tasks so that their teams can actually do the relationship carriers, do the going to customers, finding more leads, and actually like adding value to the company versus like doing those repetitive tasks. So that's Happy Robot in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's great. So speaking of that and some of the things that you mentioned about AI agents and creating more, I guess, really throughput for the customers of yours who are using this. When you think about it sort of bigger picture, how do you think that AI will transform logistics and workflows in general over the next few years?
So I always say that logistics is information gathering. And if you don't have a way to gather information faster than your competitor, you don't have all the information to carry out your operation effectively and efficiently. So AI is helping accelerate that information gathering, if you will. Now you're able to like trigger an email or trigger a phone call and like directly reach out to a down carrier that might be able to haul that load for you, see if it's a good rate or not, see if they even have capacity, and then get back to your customer and be like, hey, I actually found like 5 carriers that could do this for us. That's it. Like maybe in 10 minutes, you can have like all the information you needed to have. So that's huge, right? Like being able to connect the dots. That's also how we see Happy Robot here is we're the connecting tissue for the logistics players to do their work more effectively and efficiently as well. I mean, there's on the effectivity side of things, it's like, are you even able to like do all the outreach that you actually wanted to do? And if you can even do that more efficiently, that's perfect. But like, there's already like a point where like, for inbound carrier sales, we're helping a lot of brokers on that aspect. Like basically, they post on a load board, and they're gonna start getting an influx of phone calls or even emails. How do you cater to all of those carriers that you actually want to like talk to, and give them potential quotes, and like see if you're gonna even want to work with them or not? But at least you are talking to them, right? Today, there's customers tell us, hey, we're missing like 50, 60% of our calls. We're missing those. We don't get to reply to all of those. So that's just like effectively solving that problem. And then if you can even like be more efficient in how you do that. For instance, we have a lot of customers now for whom we're actually gathering all the capacity from those inbound calls, and we've been negotiating better rates for them, right? Helping the team negotiate better rates, because we're kind of taking away the most human aspect of the negotiation, which is totally fine because we're talking about spot loads. Like if it's like a relationship carrier, you always we're gonna do whatever, right? But if it's more like a one time, like you might never talk to that carrier again, and it's fine. Like that's how the market works. There's a space for like contracted carriers, and there's a space for like a one-time thing. So for that space, that takes a lot of human effort. So that's where like we see AI like being a huge unlock to these companies.
So when you talk about information gathering, so obviously a huge amount of efficiency in having, an assistant or an agent who can make those phone calls or field the inbound phone calls. Are you also capturing the information and the data, like the offers from those carriers and all of that information in an efficient way? Because to me, that feels like an incredibly valuable part of this, right? Something that humans may choose to do or choose not to do by entering them in the system. So is that happening as well?
Yeah, that's huge, right? Like being able to consistently gather the same data points every time. Like if you put me on the floor, and I've actually done like some carrier sales work over at some customers, especially at the beginning. I was almost like learning. I would like forget to like first of all, like I'm too nice. Just like I would just go to MaxPay. I would forget to write down all their offers. I would forget to capture their name. Sorry, what's your name again? You said John, Maria, Jessica, Joseph. What was it? So I would forget that. But the AI has structure and it just follows it, right? Have to ask for the dispatcher name. Have to ask for the obviously for the negotiated offer. It records the load number, the MC, and automatically it's going to write that information back into the TMS right after the call, like automatically every single time. It doesn't, it's because it was not a good offer that we wanted to log anyways, right? So the customer has the ability to say, what offers do I want to log? Do I want to log any data points from like carriers that are do not use carriers? Maybe we just record that at a high level, like, hey, we're getting a lot of do not use carriers. Maybe we need to revisit our policies for what carriers we want to work with. That's also data, but it's not that related to like maybe what you brought up, like maybe more on the rates side of things, like related more to the SONAR kind of space. But on the general data gathering about insights, intents, that's huge. So yes, AI plays a huge role there. It just follows the rules that you give it. It's just a matter of like almost with kids, right? With a kid, you tell them once, you might have to tell them twice, maybe 3 times. But at some point, the kids has to learn that they're like sponges. Maybe that changes at some point when we get older. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like you have to maybe tell it a few times. Like either that's kind of the onboarding process for our customers. At some point, you have like a pre-trained kind of rep that follows your instruction, which is huge, right?
Yeah, I agree, because very often like a human rep is going to be like, well, I'm not going to use this carrier anyway. So they don't bother to log the offer or do any of that work, when it doesn't mean that that data might still not be valuable, right? Or a use point later. So I think that that's an incredibly important part of this also, right? And the efficiency that it can create down the road by having that data. So I guess that really leads into my next question. And I didn't even intend to for it to connect this well, but what role do you think data can play in this as we continue to see AI taking a bigger role? What data is needed for it to be able to work successfully? We talked a bit about the data that it can gather, and you're welcome to expand on that. And how do you think it works, I guess, in partnership with data to create efficiency and really the right decision-making mechanisms as well?
Yeah, to your first one, Julie, what data do these AIs need? Surprisingly, AIs are really good at getting unstructured data and converting that into a structured pitch. But let's talk about like carrier sales, which I think is the most applicable here. Anything booking related. We just need to like look at whatever we have on a per load basis. We just look at the TMs of the customer and say, what do we need to use as disqualification to disqualify a carrier? For instance, like an example, like a carrier calls in, it's a flatbed load and they have a Conestoga. Can I load a Conestoga, sir? No. Okay. Really? Yes. No. Okay. Bye. That's a call where like we needed to know ahead of time, like whether a flatbed works only or whether a Conestoga can also work. So that's the type of data that we need from our customers. Like they have to tell us what are the key disqualifiers in these carrier sales use case, right? Now, in terms of gathering the data afterwards and how that data can be leveraged for other use cases. For instance, I'll give you an example. Like we're gathering a lot of data about rates and lanes, where customers that opt into our model, they're able to see like they will be able to see like other like lanes in aggregate from the market in terms of like an OD pair or in destination, equipment type, and rate that carrier offered. That's data you can now leverage to like make an outbound call. So that's data that is really, really valuable because it's real-time market data, like real-time intent data. They can maybe didn't work for like that Conestoga didn't work for that one customer that had a flatbed load, but maybe there's someone else in the network that can actually leverage that. So that intent data is pretty interesting. So that's one of the most exciting pieces that we see on that data component at the lane level.
Yeah, I think that to me also would feel like the most valuable part, like what we talked about in logging offers, right? Like I think a person would probably be like, oh, it's kind of sort of not bother to do it without understanding the impact that it could have on others, right? That they're working around and next to as well. So I think that's really cool. We talked a little bit about this already when you kind of opened, but if you would talk a little bit more about it, what are the main ways, or what are the ways that Happy Robot is creating efficiencies using AI?
So the way we started with Happy Robot was one of my co-founders was on the shipper side, so he knew about the freight broker world, and he knew about it because he was missing appointments. He was getting fines from Walmart and Kroger for being late for deliveries. So that led us to say, okay, there's something here in terms of tracking these drivers. There's a MacroPoint, there's like a P44, there's all these tools that you can be leveraging to basically track your partners, your carriers. Then at the end of the day, there's that human touch of like having to do a check call, like, what's up? You haven't been moving for 10 hours. What's going on? Oh yeah, I had a flat tire. Oh, well, you could have called. Okay, cool. Now we know. That piece was like super clear to us. Like we started with that value prop. Like I went to our first customers and said, hey, I think there's this thing called check calls, right? And they're like, of course, yes. Okay, can we help? Like, yes, but let's start with booking with carrier sales. Let's start with that because that's higher. There's a higher ROI with that. And that's one way that we're helping customers today, like big time, like on the carrier sales side of things, either inbound or outbound. It's like a no-brainer. Anything track and trace is like a big cost center for primarily the freight broker person. We have like 80% of our customers being brokers. Maybe the other 20% is like more on the 3PL or even like other freight tech companies using us for sales, like AI SDRs almost. Really cool use cases. But yeah, like the biggest value prop and how we're helping customers today is automating and enhancing their ability to do more with less, which sounds like the usual, like, oh, do more with less, but it really is, because we've seen customers covering 25% more freight per rep, which is like not nothing, right? If you combine that with better margins per load on that carrier sales component, we've seen we did a case study with a customer. I think they were covering those loads with 10% better margins relative to a control group that we had. And obviously, it wasn't exactly the same loads that the bot did versus the humans did, but on average, the bot is consistently being more strict with that negotiation, and he's basically letting the reps like cover more freight per month, which is huge, right? That's number one metric for a broker, right? Like, how many loads can you cover?
To which they can get to that higher number of loads per day per rep, right? And if this is increasing that ramp up time in addition to it being more loads, that's amazing.
Exactly. So that's a big one. That's really how we're helping. And then there's other use cases that we do on the accounting back office side of things, and maybe collecting PODs. There's a lot of automation collecting PODs today, but there's always a bit of a pretty long tail of like, oh, they don't have an integration with manufacturing company, so I'm gonna have to call the carrier for that POD, or actually a factoring company calling in that doesn't have an integration with a broker to get that rate verification, that rate check. So there's a lot of like small use cases, small as in uses that I didn't even know existed, obviously, before coming into the industry, but we can help automate with these workflows, these AI workflows, which is huge, right? So anywhere from sales, we're actually doing some AI SDR work for things where like someone shows some intent in your website, maybe they like log in, or like they leave their details to like talk a little more. At that point, someone would have to call them back or send an email. Hey, I just saw your intent, your booking, whatever. I want to talk to you guys. You need a person doing that today. Now, if you can have an AI call you back automatically, which we have actually, funnily enough, in our website, like if you go and book a demo with Happy, but we don't call you guys back. We have an AI call you, like gather, almost like do that pre-qualification. So anyhow, to my point before, like going from sales to carrier sales, like customer sales, even customer support side of things, to carrier sales, through track and trace, and all the way to accounting back office stuff.
So you talked a bit about some different use cases. What do you think is your favorite or the most innovative you've come across so far?
So the highest ROI use case we've seen is definitely carrier sales, inbound carrier sales for like your usual freight broker. A pretty cool use case we built the other day with our new platform, which basically allows to connect email, text, phone calls We did this use case for a customer that basically rents trailers, and they have customers calling in on issues on their trailer, like, hey, something broke, I don't know what to do, I'm stuck here at the shipper. Okay, let me put you on hold. So the AI will put the customer on hold, dispatcher, the carrier, the driver, whoever called, and trigger, say, 5-10 phone calls in parallel to different dealers in the area, try to get a quote, and try to get the earliest time. If they have to send someone, also see if they can send someone to their location to the driver. And then we kind of finalize those 10 calls, say, we get the better rate, and we go back to the customer. Mr. Customer, we already have an appointment for you. Since you can drive to the location, this is going to be 123 street, whatever, in San Francisco. And it's going to be $200, whatever. Okay, thank you. Bye. That was beautiful. We demoed that flow to a customer the other day, and it kind of blew their minds. Like, holy shit, that's pretty cool.
That would have been incredibly useful for me in my prior life, my career prior to SONAR. Thinking about, if a driver is broken down and they're calling in for breakdown and they need a maintenance service and it's outside of your network, time is money, right? They're sitting there, yep. And possibly failing a load or not generating revenue by not moving and being broken down. Every bit of that, as well as the driver's experience, right, matters. So that's kind of amazing.
Yes, it's a cool use case.
What else, I guess, do you see on the horizon that excites you in AI use beyond just sort of this, like an AI agent who really is assisting, which personal life, I would love to have any sort of assistant helping and making things more efficient, not just at work, but in general. What else do you see coming in the next few years?
So there's this concept of a real companion to the reps. To again, focusing on the freight brokers, right? There's this concept of a companion almost that you can have like accessible anywhere. You might even like just talk to them somehow all the time. Like let's call it Tim the AI. Hey Tim, remind me again, like this carrier, what did we do with them? Oh yeah, that was two weeks ago, Pablo. Oh, okay, yeah, it was a load of shingles. Okay, cool. Let's try to get them on a contract. They're doing a lot of loads every day. Okay, yeah, let me do that. I was like a little assistant to the reps. That'll be huge.
That would be
huge. We're thinking in that direction. Kind of a little companion to every rep in the company. Might even be like on the accounting side. Maybe it's like it's helping them like collect those PODs, like reports back, and like then it's like, oh, now we actually go and do collections to customers that otherwise would not be able to reach out because like too many customers. Maybe for like the micro shippers. That you do want to serve properly, you might want to call them and be like, hey, do you need help with this? Can we figure it out? Maybe we do like a different type of payment, but you still need to call them and like get paid. So those things that your team cannot like manage to handle today through a little assistant. That's kind of our vision for the next for this year for sure. We'll definitely have some products around that. Kind of disclosing some of our roadmap here, but it's the future for us.
Listen, like not only does that sound great at work, but again, that sounds great in my personal life. Like, hey, I need to make an appointment to get my dog's haircut tomorrow or whatever. Like that, like there's a million things that I feel like I can use it for personally too, not just in a work environment. So that sounds really, really cool. And like something that if people, buy in and really use it could be incredibly beneficial. What do you think? So I think we talk about AI a ton in this industry, and I'm kind of stepping back a little bit from the specifics. And I think different people have a different definition of what it is, right? Or have like a idea around what AI is, and it's very, for some people, kind of scary, right? Like, how would you define it?
The best analogy I found is buying online 10 years ago. Like my mom, or even myself, I was like super scared to like put like who would put their card on file like on online? Like you're crazy. You want to like get all your money stolen. But now it's like pretty common, right? We're just like putting our card everywhere for buying anything, right? And it's a bit the same, right? Like I think in a year from now, everyone will actually want to talk to like an AI or communicate via email. I mean, email is harder to know if it's an AI or not. It's harder to say, right? Most of email communications are going to be like AI driven. If they're like really transactional, they will be. For anything sales, it's always harder because AI like still kind of getting there, but maybe not there yet. And then obviously we will not be using AI to communicate with our friends. That would be well, maybe no, maybe you have like a maybe like if my mom calls me, I have like a little AI to like see if it's important or not. And I was like kidding, but I think the future of support, that's for like customer support, that's for sure. Like in a year from now, everyone will actually want to actually talk to an AI versus like wait and hold for like 4 hours and talk to a human.
Whoever can fix my
That
problem the
is
most quickly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that is tired. I mean, put me on a floor helping customers with issues. You get drained. Like it's draining, right? So like AI will be like that first line of defense, so that us humans we can like be a bit more strategic and like just tackle the the edge cases, right? Like operate by like manage by exception, right? That's how people should see it and not be afraid, but rather like leverage it. I think there's this quote from like the industry now, the world, like humans or like AI will not take your job. A human with AI will, and that's like stupidly simple, but it is obvious. Like imagine if you're a farmer and you don't have a tractor today, it would be like, dude, like you have to do something. Like get yourself a tractor, right? Like you probably should invest in that, right? No, like I don't like tractors. I don't like technology. I'd rather like farm without like any tools. Sure, okay, go ahead. Like it'll be like a super premium product. There might be space for that, right? Like there might be space for like a super premium product where will you always have like a super happy human helping you out for anything. But at the end of the day, that's not going to be the reality for like the bulk of the industry. And in general, thinking about like other industries, like that's going to be kind of to my analogy before, that's going to be like 80 to 20% is for sure like real, and we have to tackle the 80% of the issues with automation. Automate yourself and move on. That's a quote that I got from over at Freight Broker. She's the CTO of one of the biggest brokers, and she was like, all I tell my people is like automate and move on. And that's true. Like it's fine. Like, if you automate yourself, sure, you're losing your job today, but there's going to be other things that you can do
New
to
problems to
continue
solve.
helping the company, right? So I think anyone that's viewing these as is going to take my jobs, so going to take away my job, it's like, well, maybe you do have to like reinvent yourself, serve your company in a different way to continue growing. I mean, at the end of the day, like sure, we're not farming by hand anymore. We're using tractors. That's fine. There's someone driving that tractor. There's someone fixing that tractor. There's someone doing something related to. This is like the type of work will change. And so this is a bit of a ramble here, a long-winded.
No, I think you're right on. Yeah. I think the tractor analogy is really a good one, and I agree that creating efficiency and in repeatable tasks, there's no reason to be doing that yourself, right? Focus on the problem solving, the bigger picture, the exceptions that need to happen. There will always be exceptions, right? There will always be someone who has to deal with the exceptions. But if you can spend your time doing that and have, to your point, the less value add, or whether it's not necessarily value add, but creating significantly more efficiency and throughput, right? By volume versus necessarily interaction, then that's incredibly valuable also.
Do you know we had a customer during Halloween? We had a customer send us an image, a picture of one of their reps. They dressed up as kind of one of our agents was named Kate for them. So they named their agent Kate. Customers can call their agents whatever. We can even clone their reps' voices and whatever. But one of their reps was Kate. So someone dressed up as Kate, just to kind of highlight how the perception can be like, you can perceive this AI as a companion that is helping you like do better at your job. You're still getting even higher salaries because you're maybe closing more loads, again, like to the point before, like you're actually closing more loads per day. You're going to be doing better. So yeah, like to the driving that point home, like it's important to understand that this is like an enhancement to your operations and not going to replace your team in a sense.
Yeah, if there's less people to pay who have moved the same amount of loads, there's more money to pay each person, right? And the same thing if they're a rep who's commission-based, right? The more loads they're moving by using this technology and creating more throughput for themselves, the better their check will be at the end of it, right?
And the care side, they're getting more attention, right? And sorry to like keep diving through. Like the care side, they're like, sure, there's going to be some folks who are going to be like, transfer me to a person. Okay, sure. You might wait like 15 minutes on hold. Do you want to do that? Perfect. You want to get information about the load now? Let's do it. We can, and it's like the same with digital booking, right? Like maybe at the beginning, there might have been some push against like some apps or like some online booking, the digital freight matching platforms. But it's part of many carriers' lives today, right? They're using those tools to like maybe get on loads automatically. And there are going to be another percentage that are going to want to talk to someone. That someone could be an AI that gives them the load details. I mean, there's some customers that don't even post with a rate online. So you have to call them and like get that rate and like kind of enter into a negotiation, right? If you want to talk to a human, sure, ask for that human, but you might be waiting hold longer than your competitor, and someone else is going to get that load. So it's a bit of a balance, right? Anyhow, yeah, I think just to highlight how this is actually also beneficial to the whole industry, not like harming one party or the other. I think this is super beneficial to the whole industry.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it creates efficiency throughout all of it, right? And it's a complex process. So any way to make it more efficient and connect the dots a little bit more easily, in my opinion, the better. We're getting relatively close to time. So I guess we'll ask one more sort of big picture question from you. When you think about beyond this year or beyond even just your roadmap, but kind of AI and how it can create efficiencies in the future going forward, what do you feel the most excited about?
I like to think that we'll all have less headaches. I think at the end of the day, technology is here to help us have better lives, right? I like to think that this era of AI will actually make all of our lives much simpler, but we'll actually continue increasing our quality of life at a personal level almost, no? Like how can we make everyone live happier lives? How can we like take stress away from certain parts of our life? I think that's what technology does to society. Phone calls. If we're not able to like make a phone call to our mom overseas, my mom is in Spain. If I were not able to talk to her, it would be bad because it's sad, it's stressful, right? But technology was there to solve that. How can we make this era of AI not be scary, but rather be like that enhancement to everyone's lives? And I think people are kind of getting it. There's like a lot of us like use ChatGPT every day for different things. How can we make that be part of our operations and just acknowledge that change happens? And right now it's just happening way faster than before. That's the only thing that changed. Like technology has been advancing quickly and helping our lives be easier. Now there's like a crazy curve, like a super exponential growth. It's almost like hard to understand how our lives are going to change with AI. Just let's call it language models that are like really helpful for many tasks. So yeah, I think like what excites me today is like all the opportunity to make our lives just simpler. Just at the end of the day, like what we want to do, right? I mean, live a happy life, simpler life.
I agree. I was thinking about this as well. Obviously, if I was going to ask you, I wanted to think about, what my answer would be. And I was thinking how if it can make you so, you can be so much more efficient, and you can use, an LLM to help turn a blog into a white paper or do whatever, right? Like, do things that would otherwise take you time that can happen so much more quickly. Or at work, you're getting through covering your loads more quickly because, you have an assistant, an AI assistant who's helping do that. And you've got more data points, so you can work more efficiently after that. The idea of being able to get the same amount of work done in less time and then have a better work-life balance, like maybe shorter work days or whatever that leads to in the longer term, feels exciting to me as well, right? Like whatever we're evolving towards, if it makes us more efficient and allows us to get what we need to get done in a quicker amount of time, hopefully it leaves more time for the things we want to do versus the things we have to do, right?
100%.
So we do have one question in the chat that I want to ask you really quickly before we wrap up. The question is, from the standpoint of a carrier, what are the advantages of interacting with our customers if they are using your AI tool? So if a broker is using an AI tool, how does that benefit the carrier?
So if a broker is using our AI, how does it benefit the carrier? I think it goes to the point that we chatted about before. By the way, there's a message saying that we are frozen. Hopefully we've not been frozen.
That was from right at 3, and I think it was only maybe on her screen, because I checked in the background and might have been an internet issue on one end. So.
Perfect. Okay. So I think it goes back to the point of, again, if I understood the question correctly, it goes to the point of like the carrier today, they have to go through some form of like, for that spot market, they have to go through some form of a verification and validation of whether they can be put in that load or not. Today, it's unfair because whoever calls first gets to talk to someone, and the remaining part of the flood, like they don't even get to know about that load. So I think it's almost like making it more fair to the carriers. Like, hey, all of your calls will be taken. We'll provide information to everyone. It's almost like a fair market here. Like you have information. Again, going back to the point of information gathering, you are able to now extract that information automatically, almost. Not automatically, but like you're able to get that information easier than before, because if not, you were going to just hold like for 20 minutes and then someone was going to tell you, oh, it's covered, buddy. Sorry, bye. That sucks, honestly. But if you can like get that information right away, and then sure, like you might ask for like someone to help you like wrap it up, or like just get you on that load, send your rate con. But at least you knew that load was good for you or not. So that's what we see on carriers, and actually satisfaction with some kind of polls that customers have. Some customers have done. It's pretty crazy how people like accept it. And I mean, first of all, some people don't know it's AI, which is fine. Like they just talk to someone, get their data they need, and they don't realize sometimes it's AI, which is I think it's awesome. But at the same time, if they do realize it's AI and they just actually we had an instance with a I heard it was like, wait, are you AI? Yes, here to help. What do you want? Okay, can you do 900? Like the carrier was like, okay, whatever. Like you're in it, sure. Can you do 900?
Yeah.
So that's it. Like it's just like a piece of the workflow here. Like the way they're interacting with apps and dashboards and tools. It's like another piece of the puzzle here.
Yeah, accept it and use it, right? Accept it for what it's offering and use it. So I'm hearing for the carrier, what it's creating is equal opportunity out of the bat with all of the information up front for all of those carriers available, right? Versus having to wait to speak to a specific person or to happen to be next in line. And then much more efficiency in the booking process is what it sounds like as well.
Exactly. Humans are an API to the, I'll just wrap it up. Humans are an API to the world. Like if you call me and I have to like look up an MC number, the load number, I take time. Like it takes like a few seconds. Like the AI has like immediate action, like it can like immediately like pull up that information, get it to you like in seconds. So it's pretty efficient. And you can be like, okay, I don't like that load. It's 1 peak 7 drops. Forget it. Bye. That's fine. There will hopefully be a carrier that will do that 1 peak 7 drops, but maybe it's not you. No worries. At least now you know that it's 1 peak 7 drop.
Yep. That's great. Well, thank you so much for the time today and for talking through this. Really appreciate it. Excited to hear about your product and to watch how it continues to evolve as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Julie.